Hi, I'm Kimile. This is Hill with Kimile Podcast. Thanks for coming back and listening. And today I want to talk about, when life just is never ending stress and you can't seem to get out from underneath this pressure cooker. I'll tell you how to fix that and what to do. I do think that if you're listening to this podcast, maybe you want to not be driving because I'm going to ask you to sit and close your eyes and do a process with me on the podcast. I'll describe a situation, and maybe this fits your situation, maybe it doesn't, but this is a routine session that I perform on people. So I have a gentleman who's a pretty high-profile guy. He's been in the limelight, he's got some skills in, vehicles and stuff, but he's a pretty big deal in the world. And he is going through a lot of stress right now, a lot of pressure. So when he comes in to see me, I'm asking him to kind of do a body scan, do a scan of his energy. And what I have people do is just sit quietly, and I put him on my, I call it a truth detector, but it's a biofeedback meter. So I can see when I ask him certain questions, what registers, what the read is. But what he's going through is he's just got this pressure all around him. He's got to come up with money. He's got a health concern. There's a lot happening in his life, relationship challenges. And he's been under this kind of pressure for years. And look, if you have this kind of pressure cooker life for years, you get sick. Your body can't take all that pressure. And he's a master. If you know his profession, he's got to keep it together. He can't lose control. Control is the name of the game. Control is the way he wins. It's the way he makes money. So this is a kind of person, and a lot of alpha males are this way. A lot of alpha males they can't lose control. They can't fall apart. They don't have the luxury of falling apart. And so they just hunker down and keep going. And they don't look up. They don't take their temperature maybe, and they don't take notice if the stress is getting to them. But when I finally get him in my chair and I say, okay, I want you to sit, close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you a series of questions. And so if you're a kind of person that feels like you're just bumping into walls, you feel stuck, you can't get past a certain level of existence, you're always in that, rat on a wheel feeling, and you're doing the same thing over and over because you don't know how to do anything else. You don't know what else to do. You don't want to quit. You can't quit. But on some level, you want to quit, but you can't. You won't let yourself. And so you're just in this rut of the same old. And feel like you're just existing. You're not thriving. You're just surviving. And it could be in a relationship situation where you're just pounding your head against that brick wall. But if you stop doing that, the relationship's over. If you stop going to that dead-end job or that frustrating job, then, you don't pay your bills. The game's over, which is, again, the obvious, right? And so if you want relief from something, you can quit it. You can always quit it. But quitting, there's a lot of circumstances around that. And maybe you don't have the autonomy to quit something just yet, because it'll put you in a worse position, which I totally understand that. And that's his situation, this client of mine. So when you're sitting and I ask you to sit and close your eyes, and what I want you to do is put your awareness, like just psychically tap in, put your awareness around your body. And then, you're going to do a body scan. You start at the top of your head area, and you just put your awareness right here. And then slowly go down through your body, focusing on your eyes, your sinuses, your nose, your throat, your chest, your diaphragm. Just slowly going down through your body, and then to the base of your spine, and just all the way down, just focusing on that energy. And as I have this person doing this, I have them on a meter, and they're holding onto some sensors. And so if they are noticing some sort of pressure area, and they don't know it's pressured, but if they focus on the heart, for example, and there's a read on my meter, I say, what's that? And so they say, I'm looking at my heart. I'm looking at my diaphragm. I'm looking at my leg. Whatever the pressure area is, when you focus on that with intention psychically, just putting your awareness there, it will have a read on the meter. And I'm looking at that. So I say, what's that? I'm looking at this part of my body. Okay, and I make note of that. Go all the way through the scan. I do it twice so that I can really make sure that the same read happens again when they focus on that part of the body. So there was this pocket of pressure in the chest for this gentleman. And I say, okay, so once you notice that there's a pressure, and it's hard to do, you're doing this yourself. And so you probably have an awareness. And if you can just listen to yourself, where do you feel pressured in your system? Is it your heart? Is it your stomach? Is it your colon? I mean, where do you have any sort of disease or pressure, right? So when you focus on that pressure, I will ask you, how big is it? Size of the room, size of an elephant, size of a car, an ocean. It's the size of the universe. It's bigger, maybe sometimes, and smaller sometimes, but there's a size to this pressure. It's not seen, but there's a size to it. So how big is it? Size of an elephant. How heavy is it? What does it weigh? It feels like it's just sitting on my chest. I can barely move. It's thousands of pounds. Great. What's the color of it? Black. It's just black. I mean, it's just completely black. And what's its mood? What does it seem like it's feeling? Just rage, anger, rage. And I'm telling you the experience of my client. Rage, anger, hostility, mocking, like a mocking energy. And I say, great. If it could speak, what would it say? There it is, right? Like there's the real truth in all this energy that's just been stuck down there. And so that takes a few minutes to kind of get all that spoken. What would it say? I wish I could die. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm so sick of my life. I can't keep doing this to myself. Just enormous amount of emotion and frustration and tears and pain. Because all that stuff we hold in, all that's just, we stuff it. We stuff it in our gut. We stuff it in our cells. We hold it in our chest area, our stomach area. And we, quote, get a gut full. And when that happens, literally life kind of just stops flowing. And we don't feel good. This is the point of disease. Dis-ease causes disease. And so I say, well, how have you been handling this? How have you been handling this dark energy? Just keep on going. Get up, make it happen. Get up, make it happen. Until you just can't anymore. And you hit the wall. And the body's deteriorated. The energy's drained. It's like you're spending your spirit. You're a currency. And your energy is a currency. And your energy is what you're spending in this life. Like you spend your spirit. You spend your energy on life experiences. And so if you're spending your energy and spending your life experiences on a way of dealing with something dark or dealing with this pressure, it's like, well, the only way I know how to deal with it is just keep on going or ignore it or abandon myself and keep trying to make money and forget how I feel. I don't let myself feel. I don't let myself deal with it. I just hunker down and suffer. And that's a lot of us. A lot of us, well, I don't want to end it. I don't want to quit it. So I'll just stay in it. But there might be a new strategy. There's got to be a better strategy because everybody's going to hit this point if they're stuck in this rut where they just can't keep doing it anymore. The body's going to give out. The body, will get sick. It'll get cancer. It'll get blood pressure issues, hypertension. The body reacts to stress. That's just normal. But if you're the kind of person that just keeps piling on yourself and doesn't stop and process your emotions and process what's happening, how am I contributing to this? What am I reacting to? If you don't stop and look at this stuff and start over, then you are just continuing down a rabbit hole and it's not going to get you anywhere. You're just digging yourself in deeper. Okay, so now you've done the body scan. You can locate a pressure in your system. Okay, there's pressure in my chest area, Kimile. Okay, great. How big is it? Put a size to it. How heavy is this? Does it weigh anything? Is it heavy? What's the weight of that? What's the color? Could be any color. And then what's the mood? What does it feel like? What does it seem like? And the mood might be just detached, gone, absent, elsewhere, mocking. And then if that energy could speak, what would it say? And that's where the juice is because there's an upset going on. There's something you're upset about, something you're incomplete about. And how have you been dealing with this? How have you been handling it? We're not handling it. It's just getting stuck there. But what I know to do is distract myself from it. And how I'm distracting myself from it is keeping myself busy or working or ignoring or avoiding. You're doing something to handle this energy, running from it on some level or managing it. How are you managing it? I cry a little bit, then I stop myself. I grin and bury stuff. We're all grin and barriers. We have to grin and bury it. We can't really discuss it. A lot of people are terrified to talk about their feelings. And I find a lot of this in men, alpha males. I'm not that stereotyping maybe, but that's kind of the nature of the beast sometimes. So if you have got this withholding energy, you're withholding your emotion, you're withholding your pain, what are the consequences of that? What is this doing to you? I'm in a bad mood all the time. I overeat. I drink. I look at porn. I'm doing anything to make myself feel better. I avoid relationships, or I avoid communicating with my relationship, or I don't want to dare leave because who else is going to want me? Like, there's a lot of consequences for not being able to handle the pressure in your system. Some people don't even have a clue it's there. Some people are just so used to walking around with a pit in their gut. That was me. I mean, when I first learned this technology on how to clear people and help them clear the trauma out of their system, right? It's a psychic wound. It isn't a physical wound, but it can manifest physically. Our emotions come out, if we hold them in, they come out physically, right? But when I was younger, I had a pit in my stomach my whole life. I was always anxiety prone. And I went to this training when I was in my early 20s where I learned how to help people clear. And I've been doing it ever since. But I had this woman say to me, I was doing this physical sensation thing. And I said, just anxiety, pit in my stomach. And I said, that's not normal. Don't you have that? So I thought this was normal. I thought everybody felt this way until I realized, wow. And that pit had been in my gut for years. Some trauma. I had some issues, as a kid. And I never processed that out. We medicate ourselves. We're not taught to do any soul retrieval. We're not taught to stop and really, tap into our system and locate the pressure and locate the weight and the heaviness and the emotion of it. And so when you can stop and process yourself and do this, it is remarkable. So I'll continue. So you get to the place where, how big is it? What's the size of it? What's the weight of it? What's the color? What's the mood? If it could speak, what would it say? And you want to give it a voice. You want it to speak. But then you look at, what is this energy's intention in being there? Well, it's to hold me back, or it's to prevent me from whatever, or it's to keep me down, to make me doubt myself, to protect me. Sometimes they say they protect you, but this energy doesn't protect you. It just blocks you. It might have protected another person while it keeps my anger in. Okay, maybe there's protection for someone else there. I get that. But somehow there's an intention, this energy being withheld. And so it almost slows you down. It blocks you. And this gentleman I was working with today, he, again, huge elephant on his chest, I said, what is the intention of this energy? Well, it's to kill me. I mean, literally, he felt like it was there to kill him. Okay, well, that's a pretty bad intention. That doesn't sound fun. And this is what he's fighting every day. And so, it's almost like, I just want to give up. I just want to give up. I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired of fighting this. He doesn't want to die, but he wants to end this pressure cooker pain that he lives in. And this is for years, literally. He had a brush with evil, I'll call it. How does these things happen? Well, there's a brush with evil. There's a brush with some sort of traumatic thing happened. And there was some criminal, that he didn't see coming. We've all been there, trusted the wrong people, right? And so trusted the wrong people, and they were, promoting his business and things. And so it was a mutual good idea, we thought. And he was the face of this company, but when it came out, it was a corrupt company. He had to deal with the law, and they went to prison, and because he wasn't part of that stuff, he was clean, he stayed out of it. But that brush with evil, these evil people, it's like, where did this energy come from? Who sent this energy to him? Well, the energy might be from these people that went to prison. Then look at the consequences of having to brush with those kind of people. Usually people make us crazy, by the way. We don't get crazy on our own. People make us crazy. People upset us. We get traumatized by other people. So if you're in some sort of space with someone and you look at you before that person, look at you after the relationship or after knowing them, same or different you. How has it changed you? How has it altered you? People change us, right? So looking at him prior to meeting these business people that allegedly gave him, all this money to kind of do something great when it was found out it was a criminal endeavor. Look at him before, trusting. Life was pretty breezy. Things came to him easy. He's a winner, no difficulty. After he's had this brush with these people, just nothing but trauma. Got sick, going through a hard time. And I say to him, so if this intention it was his intention to kill him off because they want revenge, it's a revenge energy. And then he's got guilt or shame or fear, confusion, like, how the heck did I bump into these people? So all of that's got to get expressed. All of that's got to get spoken. There's tears, there's sadness, it's trauma, right? But once you let that trauma kind of talk and you realize, oh my gosh, look at all this energy that's tied into those moments of, darkness. And then we avoid them, we run from them, or we just try to manage ourselves, but we're dragging that along. And he did say, I feel like I'm dragging all these zombies with me, just this energy, and I've just got to keep, cranking out money. and that's all anybody wants from him. So he feels exploited. He just feels exploited. And that's no way to live. That's no way to live at all. He just feels like a whore for money, right? Don't we all? Don't we all feel like a whore sometimes for money, right? But there's just this energy that he's dragging with him. And he says, it's like an anchor. An anchor is in my guts. It's like just attached to my heart and my guts area. And I say, okay, I want you to separate yourself from this anchor. Like literally see that anchor leaving your system. And he did. He could feel that anchor just pulling out. He said, wow, I had the pain in my back when I walked in here. I was struggling this morning with walking. My back hurt so bad. And I don't have that pain anymore. So I'm telling you, you're able to move energy this way. You're able to reassess and heal your body. Again, I asked him to close his eyes and we prayed. We did a prayer, bring in the light, bring in the love, bring in what I believe the universe, God, the intention of his life, let it realign himself to what is right and what is true and what his calling is, his real calling is. His calling isn't to have to keep making money and killing himself for it. That's literally what he's been doing, is killing himself for money, right? And when you realize that motivator, like, why is that a good idea? Why are you killing yourself for money? Because then I could get free of this. I can get free of whatever. But you got to be free now. You don't have to wait to get something to have that sense of freedom. So he had freedom today. He got freedom today from feeling anchored and mired down by this pressure cooker on him to just go make money, make money, make money. And he doesn't have that dark elephant on his chest anymore. He felt that lift. So this process is very powerful. I call it soul retrieval, because you're retrieving and you're getting you back. You're kind of getting rid of the dark energies that are around you that are Klingon. I call them Klingons, right? These little energies. And people have intention toward other people. They curse them in their mind. They gossip about them. There's a lot of people that, it's like a spell. Spelling is, words and language, and you're spelling people. But a lot of people, those intentions, they're palpable. You can feel it. And if you got someone that hates your guts like he does, they feel like he's that fault for putting him in jail when they were criminals and they shouldn't have been doing what they were doing. But they blame him for something. Literally, it's almost like, in a way, he doesn't want to have all this fame and fortune, because then he's a target. So he's got a counter intention happening with his money. He needs the money to survive, but he doesn't want the money because he doesn't want people after him, or, he doesn't want that target on his back. But the results you want those results, by the way, which again is a little crazy to think that. But people that have a lot of money have sometimes a lot of problems. And for him, that was what it was. That money that he took that money, and it literally cost him maybe his freedom. Like, that's the consequence for aligning himself with these people. It could have cost him his freedom financially, the financial investment he was going to get, because it was dirty money. And so he recognizes that not having that money, not truly taking that from them, was a great thing overall, even though it's cost him a lot. And intention-wise, he's had to start over, which, again, he'd rather do that than be a criminal. But really, on some level, to save himself, he's getting himself out of the money, and then he's killing himself to make money. It's just crazy. But when he saw all of that, put it all together, he realized that he's got to find a balance, because he has to make money. We all do. But he can't kill himself to do it anymore. I mean, he's on phone calls with people overseas all night long. How do you do that and have a healthy system? You don't. You got to sleep. Sleeping is critical. Like, one of the best things to do for your health is manage your sleep. Make sure you're sleeping at least 7 to 8 hours a night. But this is something he's struggling with, because he's on calls working all night long. All of this is just so out of balance. And he's had this pressure on him. And, yesterday when he called me, he said, I haven't had a bad day like this in a long time. What do I do? I said, get your buddy to see me tomorrow. I got him in on my lunch hour, and it was a really good session. And then we did some prayer. We reinforced him spiritually, asked for the ministering angels to be around him and a part of his life, and for that discernment to come back. We all have a discernment. When we pull into ourselves and we're just quiet and we listen, we do know what's right. We do know what is good for us. And when we listen to ourselves, when we can tap into that feeling and let that truth come out, whatever the truth is. And I told him, I said, I think I want you to stop living any lie. If anything you're doing purely out of, I have to, obligatory, whatever, I want you to reassess that. Anything you're doing purely out of obligation that you really don't want to do, it's not sustainable. Maybe you have to do it temporarily and you can see a way out of it. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, fine. But if people are living without some sort of freedom coming, you cannot live under obligation, just doing things as you're obliged to do constantly. It is not a sustainable life. There's no joy in that. There's no freedom in that. So It's got to be strategic. I'm not saying quit, things that you just are obliged to do, but you want to figure out when you can and have the autonomy to do that at some point in your life. Because if not, you're going to feel like a slave. And that's what he feels, like a slave. And it's just slave drivers constantly, So there's no freedom in that. And he's thinking if he gets the money, he's going to have freedom. You can't wait for freedom. You got to choose freedom now. And then for you, so if you've gone through this process as I'm talking, when you did the body scan and you noticed if there's any pressure in your system, how big is it, the weight of it, the color, what's the mood, if it could speak, what would it say, and having a dialogue with that energy. Like if you've done that and you're sitting and doing that right now, you want to locate that energy again. Notice how big is it. Say hello to it, like acknowledge it, say hello to it. And notice how big it's getting. Has it changed since you've located that? Since you've been talking to it? Since you've been, identifying it? And if it's still there, what you want to say to it is, again, what is the real intention for that energy to be there? Because that seems to be sometimes a solution to another problem. This energy is holding you back from being your authentic version of yourself. Because if I did the authentic version, I would harm or I would make people unhappy or whatever. It's usually about being a hostage for other people, and you're keeping yourself down, you're keeping yourself held back. So you look at that, and you have to decide if you're going to free yourself from that kind of energy. Unplug it, like pull that out of your soul, pull that out of your system. And then you want to bring in the light. You want to ask for this impurity, these negative beliefs, these negative consequences for this. You want to have that lift out of your system. And I'm a firm believer in prayer. I'm a firm believer in calling in angelic support, any sort of help from above. I believe in that. So once you do all that, and then you want to just look at what's the impact on me that this energy has been there for this long. That's the point of change. That's the moment you get to choose, I'm done with this. And look, this is self-imposed prison, y'all. This is stuff that's in our way that we allow to be there, and you may not even know it's there. But if you've had a trauma, if you've had a betrayal, again, you've walled up something, you're holding your emotions in, you're holding yourself back. You're trying to play tough, you're trying to be cool. You don't want people to see you, going through a hard time. You need to let yourself heal and let yourself go through a hard time. You can heal yourself by doing these kind of processes. This is what I do. This is my wheelhouse. I love doing it. I love helping people. And if you feel like you've got something that's kind of stuck in your energy field, you can get rid of it. I'm happy to help if you'd like me to. And you can reach out and make an appointment with me if you'd like on my website. It's healwithkimile.com, HEAL with KIMILE.com. Have a peaceful rest of your day. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye now.